Catherine O'Hara, one of the most gifted and beloved performers in film and television history, has died at the age of 71. Her passing marks the end of a remarkable 5-decade career that reshaped modern comedy and left behind characters so vivid they feel immortal. O'Hara died peacefully at her home in Los Angeles following a brief illness, her representatives confirmed, sending shockwaves through Hollywood and among fans across generations. Born in Toronto, Catherine O'Hara first emerged as a comic force on the groundbreaking Canadian sketch series Second City Television, SCTV. Working closely with longtime collaborator Eugene Levy, she helped define a style of comedy rooted in character, intelligence, and fearless absurdity. Even in her early years, O'Hara stood out not merely for being funny, but for her ability to disappear completely into a role, creating people who felt oddly real no matter how outrageous they seemed. Her transition to Hollywood was seamless. She appeared in a string of memorable films, including After Hours and Beetlejuice, where her performance as Delia Dietz, an egotistical, avant-garde artist, became one of the film's most enduring highlights. Decades later, when Beetlejuice arrived, it was O'Hara's return that reaffirmed the character's cultural relevance, proving that her comic timing had lost none of its sharpness. For millions around the world, however, Catherine O'Hara will forever be remembered as Kate McAllister, the frantic but loving mother in the Home Alone films. Her piercing cry of "Coven" became one of cinema's most iconic moments. Yet beyond the comedy, O'Hara gave the role emotional weight, portraying guilt, panic, and fear's maternal love with authenticity. Director Chris Columbus once said that Home Alone would not work without her, a sentiment widely echoed after her death. Macaulay Culkin, who played Coven, shared a deeply personal tribute, writing simply, "Mama, I thought we had time." O'Hara's creative partnership with director Christopher Guest produced some of her most acclaimed work. In mockumentaries such as Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, A Mighty Wind, and For Your Consideration, she crafted hilariously specific characters that balanced improvisational chaos with meticulous precision. These performances cemented her status as a comedy actor's actor, admired as much by peers as by audiences. Then, in what became one of the most celebrated late-career renaissances in television history, Catherine O'Hara introduced the world to Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek. Draped in eccentric wigs and armed with a wildly theatrical vocabulary, Moira was unlike anything on television. O'Hara turned every line into music, every gesture into comedy, while slowly revealing the character's vulnerability beneath the excess. The role earned her a second Emmy and transformed her into a cultural phenomenon well into her 60s. Dan Levy, co-creator of the series, later said it was impossible to imagine life without her warmth and brilliance. Even in her final years, O'Hara remained creatively restless. She delivered powerful performances in HBO's The Last of Us, Apple TV's The Studio, and feature films like Argylle. Reflecting on her long journey, she once observed that while Hollywood had grown more anxious and unpredictable, most people still wanted to do good work and be entertained, a philosophy she embodied throughout her career. The response to her death has been an outpouring of grief and gratitude. Seth Rogen called her the funniest person he had ever watched on screen. Mike Myers said comedy and Canada had lost one of their greatest voices. Michael Keaton remembered her as a longtime friend, while Tim Burton said she brought light into the lives of everyone she worked with. Across the industry, the sentiment was unanimous. Catherine O'Hara was irreplaceable. She is survived by her husband, production designer Bo Welch, their two sons, and an extended family that includes countless collaborators who considered her one of their own. Catherine O'Hara was more than a performer. She was a force of nature, fearless in her choices and generous in her craft. She made audiences laugh without condescension, cry without manipulation, and feel understood through characters that were gloriously strange and deeply human. In celebrating her life, it is clear that Catherine O'Hara did far more than entertain. She expanded the language of comedy, elevated every project she touched, and left behind a legacy that will continue to inspire for generations. The world is dimmer without her, but endlessly richer for having had her at all.